Hi, my name's Rachel Andrews. Welcome to Everyday Athlete. On this week's video, I thought I'd share some tips and tricks that I've picked up along the way about using toe floats. My first tip is about how to seal it to make sure that the contents stay dry. So first of all, pack it as compressed as you can, then squeeze out all of the air. Then you need to roll it over completely 3 times. So 1, 2, make sure it's really neat, 3, and then we can clip it together. This is the length of my toe float normally. The length of your toe float will be determined by the length of the towing part of it, the towing webbing that comes with it. But fear not, we can make a difference. With it this long, on a windy day, it can come really high up and I can catch it with my hands as I'm swimming, which is annoying. And sometimes it can also bump the backs of my legs. So this current length is not ideal. So an easy fix for that is to bring the toe float and pop it between your legs so that then when you swim, it's shortened. Not as uncomfortable as it at first might seem. The next thing that you could do is you could, instead of wearing it around your waist, you could alter it. You could alter the waistband and pop your ankle through it. So, oops, popping your foot through it, do it up a little bit. That way, it can be really far clear of you as you're swimming. So that might work, but just be mindful that it will be more difficult to put your foot down. So I'd need to be fairly shallow in for that to work, or I might want to put it behind my knee to give myself a little bit more length on that. The final thing you might want to do is to add some floating line. Really important that it's floating line. I'd suggest attaching it onto what is usually the toe line so that you don't have the knot on your back, which will be annoying. And then you tie it onto the toe float, just where you would normally connect your toe line. That can work really well if it's wavy and in windy conditions. I quite like to have it a distance away. Places not to use that would be in somewhere where you're doing a swoosh, where you're going down a river and you don't want to be caught on anything. You'd need your toe float fairly close then. So open water only for this one. If I know the swim's going to be a particularly windy one, I'll take along an extra weight. In this case, a 500ml bottle of water, which will come in handy afterwards, and I put it inside the toe float to help it to sit down in the water. If I forget that, the other thing that I could do is I could just not inflate it so much. It's pretty bright anyway, and the less I inflate it, the less high it is above the water, so therefore it will be less skittish. It will just sit there and hopefully behave nicely. As you may know if you watch some of my other videos, I always like to take my phone with me because I run a tracking app called Safe Tracks. I'll link the video below as to how to set it up for swimming, but really important is that the phone can see the sky. So that means it needs to be on the top of the bag. So on the inside, that means. So I put it inside its own little dry pouch and then I pop it inside the bag, but I need to make sure that it stays this way up. Now the way you do that is you inflate the top side first, give that the maximum buoyancy, and then you just inflate the bottom side a little bit and it should sit there right as rain in the position you want it. If you're using a toe float like the Puffin Eco Billy 15, which has got just a single chamber, you don't have that choice option. So in order to maintain having your phone sat on the very top, you're going to need to load the bag to make sure you have something heavier on the bottom, because you can't alter the buoyancy of the bag. So having that drinks bottle I mentioned would be really helpful right on the bottom, acting as a kind of keel. I hope you've enjoyed this week's video about my tips and tricks for using toe floats, and that there's been something in there that you can have a little go with to see if it works for you. If you have, consider giving it a like and dropping me a comment. And also, I'd love it if you'd subscribe to my channel by clicking on my face and ringing a little bell. Then you'll know when the next one's out. I'll see you next time.